For June the 14th, 2024, we talk about Platform 8, Elden Ring, some game announcements, and much more. Welcome to Level 504. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Here we are. It is 1 week before Shadow of the Erd Tree. That only affects one of us as far as I know.
It's complicated.
Yeah, how far in the main game do you have to be?
So you have to have beaten Moog. Which is,
I don't know what that means.
It's an optional boss. You can get to Moog pretty early on. He's just really tough. So most people get there to Moog's Palace or Mogwin Palace pretty late in the game and take him on. But you technically could go there early. I saw this stat, like only like 28% of people have beaten Moog according to achievement data.
Oh, wow.
So what we're saying, what really happened here is whoever developer programmed Moog is super pissed that no one fought him. Is like, I know what I'm going to do.
And Moog is What were you going to say, Ben?
Is it the lava castle area or
Lava Castle? No, that's Volcano Manor. Yeah.
Okay.
Moog's is the blood place.
Wait, they really just called it Volcano Manor?
Mm-hmm. The game has a magma mansion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's like Tolkien, making an entire language for elves and then being like, Mountain Dew.
Yeah, why not? Some things need to be iconic, and Volcano Manor is impossible to forget the name of. Yeah. No, so I'm planning on having an episode of this show the week the week after Shadow of the Erd Tree comes out. Although I will be like knuckled down. I will be like completely in the I need to finish this extremely quickly or else zone. So we will see. I don't want to miss that because then the next week after that, or shortly after that, there will be the July 4th week. And I'd like to take the July 4th week off if I could.
You think that the publisher would have been more considerate in their launch windowing?
Yeah.
Line that up just a little better.
Well, I didn't mean to talk about video games. That just came to mind because of the schedule stuff and admin. We've successfully turned him to the dark side.
We talked about board games here or something.
Yeah, normally it's board games. Also, all Duckfeed podcasts are on YouTube Music now. That was
cool.
A pain in the ass to make happen.
Sisyphean.
Yeah, no. So like Google, they killed Google Podcasts, and Google Podcasts was basically just like any other podcast directory. You just handed them your RSS feed, and then it, served that to people. I think maybe there was some uploading that happened, but it was it was kind of a transparent process, right? They killed that because Google kills products. That's what they do. And said, okay, we're going to make it happen on YouTube Music to maybe hype that platform. I don't know. When you bring a podcast to YouTube Music, what happens is you give it the RSS feed, but it doesn't just serve that. Like, people don't just get the feed in their app and then it downloads from your servers. No, every episode needs to be uploaded as a video. YouTube servers handle it. It's a video that is just however many hours of the cover image that is played. But for us, a network that has, I believe, 4,600 and counting pieces of content, individual pieces of content that need to go up. The problem is YouTube only accepts around 106 uploads per day. So this is a process that I started like a month and a half ago. There's no other place where it's germane to talk about this, but isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slash bad.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's also weird that, like, why would you do that if you already... I don't know. Why wouldn't
be
you
fair-
just keep the one that worked? But
To be fair, I guess you are the edge case, though, as far as, how many uploads you would need a day, so...
yeah, no, it is an edge case, but like, I don't know, there are plenty of shows that have, many, many episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone in marketing was like, when the users spend more time per upload with our new platform, they
Yeah, no.
wind up with Stockholm syndrome and saying they love it. So
Maybe. No, so it didn't work. Didn't work because I hate it. But it is there.
but you did it.
I did it. Yes, I did do it because people were asking for it. So nobody say I never do anything nice. That's me. That's what's going on with me. Let's see, Ben, what's going on with you?
Not too much. I went to my second Bark at the Park game at the Seattle Mariners last night. It's where you bring dog to baseball games and don't really watch the baseball game. You just sort of like look at the dogs around and pet dogs and stuff.
Yes.
So it was pretty cool. They came back again to win. So they were down like 3 points and came back, or down 4 points and came back and won. So humans and dogs alike were very excited at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So it was a good time.
A baseball game is a lot of balls and sticks that a
Yeah.
dog wants to chase but cannot.
They probably
it's,
thought this ahead of, because they stick the dogs in the top corner of the stadium, so all those things are very far away and are kind of abstract to the dogs.
Yes. Huh. Like the concept of mortality. Yeah. I didn't mean to be a bummer. I'm sorry. I'm talking about... You went there with the dog of somebody you care about. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Yeah. Well, it
Oops,
sounds like it was
it's
a good
dark.
time.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's see. Moxie, how about you?
Man, so what have I been doing? Sorry, sometimes time, just becomes an abstraction.
Yeah.
No, so we had a B-movie night this last weekend. We were supposed to watch the unreleased Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, the Roger Corman one?
Yeah, to kind of commemorate Corman.
Yeah, rest in peace.
But we given that it's unreleased, the DVD like somehow mysteriously fell into our possession.
Okay.
No one knows how, and it ended up not playing correctly. So instead, we watched the Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Okay.
Which is an old
Like creature feature. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was surprisingly good.
You go back far enough and you end up with things that are schlocky but unpredictable, Yeah. Yeah, no, I've not seen this one specifically, but I could believe that it was a fun time to watch with a bunch of folks.
The weirdest thing about it that we kind of speculate, like, is this a influence from this? Is in Spider-Man, the lizard is mad scientist who is loses an arm and does crazy mad scientist stuff to try to get back and becomes a monster. In this, there is a mad scientist, and his name is Dr. Connors.
Dr. Izzard.
No, in Spider-Man, it's Dr. Connors.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
But strangely enough, in The Brain That Won't Die, there is a mad scientist that loses his arm and replaces it via mad scientist who is named Dr. Kortner.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fairly well known at its time. The other thing on
Spider-Man or this movie? When Spider-Man was
this
made?
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess both. The other thing I really want to know is this a movie that I really want to see like a sequel or something, because it ends with like, this is a movie that is very much in the realm of the scientist is the bad guy. Like he's the brain that won't die is like the disembodied head of his of his girlfriend.
Okay.
And he also created like, some sort of weird deformed monster. Mm-hmm. And his whole plan is like he's going to kill a woman and use her body to like, put the head on.
Yeah.
And spoiler, but it ends with like the head and the monster killing him and starting a fire. And then the monster, saves the woman he was going to kill, just carries her off. And that's when it ends. But I really want to know, like, what happens after that.
Yeah.
So that's a good ending right there.
I mean, my headcanon is that the monster and the lady fall in love and live happily ever after. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's nothing to contradict you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this movie came out in mid 1962, and Lizard made his print premiere in Spider-Man comic in November of 1963. So the timeline lines up a little bit.
So one-armed scientists were in the zeitgeist.
Yes. Because of current events. I have no idea. When you said like, we were going to have a B movie night and we were going to watch Corman's Fantastic Four, I was going to say, well, any of the other Fantastic Fours would suffice.
So I've not seen it. I have heard the argument that that is actually the best Fantastic Four movie that's been made so far, because
The bar is very low.
Yeah.
Well, the argument is it's the only one that isn't embarrassed of being a comic book movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not seen it. I would like to, but have not. Oh, rip Corman. Dennis, how about you? What's going on?
Yeah, I had a family vacation this past week, specifically like my side of the family. So I had 6 of 7 siblings and 10 of 11 grandchildren together in a cabin for the weekend.
Wow.
And it was glorious.
How big was this cabin?
Gigantic.
Okay.
It was a mansion of a cabin. Like, it's specifically for like, hey, bring your big ass family to this cabin.
Yeah.
And no drama or anything. Everything was worked. So don't think like cabin in the woods kind of stuff.
No.
But the cabin had like a wraparound deck, so the entire like outside you could run like a racetrack. And I don't think there was
kids did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a single second that there wasn't at least one grandchild sprinting around that, which was wonderful. But it's also funny, like I think it's finally at that point where I've like gotten reintroduced to all my siblings as adults.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like, everyone's out of school, everyone's kind of in adult life proper. And it's taken a while to get to that point. But it just makes for some very entertaining conversation, all sitting around the campfire, and like finally you're like, okay, now that we're on the other side of that, let's all compare notes. Is this as crazy as I thought it was?
Yeah.
Trauma bonding or something like that. It was good to hang out. But it also, at the same time, while you're doing that, you just are constantly seeing like flashes of your parents in everyone. It's like, we all kind of look like them already, and then someone will laugh in a certain way or make a certain gesture, and it's like, oh yeah, that's dad, that's mom.
Yeah.
And that was kind of fun. But yeah, so a very, very refreshing weekend. We did a ton of hiking. For anyone who knows Ohio, we were in Hocking Hills.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say you either did Hocking or Red River. Yeah.
Yep, those are the two places. But we stayed in Ohio for this one, and in general had a lot of fun. So that was my week.
That sounds awesome. Nice. Well, I already got into a little bit of video games earlier. Sorry about that, everybody.
We will never forgive you.
No. But we've got to do the regular kind of show to talk about video games. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the unboss. And why don't we get started with
The grind.
The grind, where we talk about the things we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Let's see who has something new.
Not me.
I have something that I have restarted new.
Okay. So that sounds as close to a volunteering.
If this is Warframe, I'm going to riot.
Yeah.
But what if it's a new game mode in Warframe? It's
God
not, but
damn,
it's
okay.
not. But what if it was?
I don't know that I would lead with it. Is my thing.
No. In terms of the previous, it's complicated. I'm giving Elden Ring another shot.
Okay, this is apropos. Yeah, topical. What made you break off with Elden Ring previously? Like, was there a particular point in the game? Like, what specifically added up to saying this isn't for me?
A combination of So I've been told that all of this stuff gets better, but I think I got past the first boss and most of the way through Stormwind Castle.
Okay, so you got through. Oh my gosh, yeah, you got through the guy on the bridge. Fuck, why don't I know his name? Margit. There we go. Sorry, I should probably refresh myself on all of this. You got past Margit, and you got most of the way through Stormwind. Okay,
Right, and a combination of I didn't like the open world, like there wasn't enough dungeon.
okay.
And I thought the art style was a lot more generic compared to the previous games.
Okay.
And also, I think just every time I play a FromSoft game, I resolved that this time I'm going to try like a dex build or a shield build or something like that. Like not just find the biggest sword I can find.
Yeah, but you keep
And-
regressing to the mean.
Yes, yeah. So I was trying to do a bleed build at the time because, when the game launched, that was, kind of the meta.
That's still very powerful. Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of the thing, and a lot of it is I've been told that a lot of this stuff, kind of improves later on. That it, the storyline gets a little less just generic fantasy, and that the game opens up, kind of that sort of thing.
Yeah. I would say so. The story definitely gets way more interesting, at least in terms of the things that you run across. Limgrave and Weeping Peninsula are not necessarily the hookiest kind of places. There is that. The open world design does not necessarily change very much over the course of it. You know, like you're going to get roughly the same mix. Like later continents are bigger. But it's about the same density of overland ruins, and then the kind of mini dungeons that you go to with a marquee legacy dungeon kind of at the center of it.
Yeah. So I haven't figured out, like, the mini dungeons don't really do much for me, but my understanding is they're pretty much optional.
What you would want to do is look up and see if there is something in there that it would be good for the build you're going for, and then go into it. Also, this isn't as pronounced in Limgrave as it is later on. Like early in the game, they are just establishing like, hey, this is what a catacomb is. This is what caves are. These are the mine tunnels, things like that. After they establish what those are, each of them starts getting their own little gimmick that they're built around.
Okay,
so I would say
could be better. Yeah.
So I would say, obviously play the game as you would like to, and if that's not doing it for you, feel free. But I think that there will be more for you if you go looking for it.
How are
that
you?
does sound interesting.
How are you approaching the game? Are you trying to go in blind as far as like what's coming up, like story wise, or like what's on the map and stuff like that? Or are you picking a build and trying to build around that and like figuring out how to do that?
Somewhere in between. I'm generally of the opinion that like FromSoft games are meant to be played with the wiki.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
explicitly, I believe.
At the same time, I'm trying not to necessarily spoil like explicit story beats.
Okay.
There are cool things where getting to see it for the first time is worth it.
Right. Is there anything that is like a spoiler-free or spoiler-light guide to like the side quests, like the character quests that just randomly locks you out of? Right. I'm assuming FromSoft does that this time because they've done that in all their previous games.
It's a little bit better, but there is still stuff that you can miss, and stuff ends up not. Yeah, stuff ends up locked out.
Are there any guides that are just like, hey, before you do this, make sure you do this?
One has to exist, but I do not have one very specifically to point you
Sure,
to.
no problem.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say the stakes here are like smaller than in something like Dark Souls as far as like how consequential it is to do the character side quest. But
Yeah.
my memory is like 1 or 2 years old with that, so I'm not sure if that's 100% right.
There is no major content that you are entirely locked out of if somebody dies.
Okay.
You can still get to places and do the boss fights. There is one major exception. There is like technically it's an NPC quest that makes up the entire middle of the game. Mm-hmm. And that will, I believe that is something that you possibly can fail. However, it is not designed for you to do that very easily. You kind of have to consciously fuck it up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm doing so far is I wasn't sure what class to start with, if there was a meta or whatever, so I just started with the Wretch because I figured that's probably the safest choice.
Okay.
And so I think at like level 12 at this point, and I don't know, I just found some sort of poison swamp.
Mm-hmm. There are plenty of those. Okay. So you're probably headed down to Castle Height. I believe there's a little poison swamp off to the side. Did you pass through the Mistwood Forest?
No, so I went due north, and I passed through like a swamp with a whole bunch of crystals in it, and then just found like a poisony swamp with a crab.
So you restarted this entirely. Did you go around Stormvale, or are you still?
Yeah, I went around Stormvale.
Oh yeah, so you're in Liurnia. That's yeah, it's gonna be a little bit tough. Yeah, the poison swamp that you found is probably one of the southern areas in that, and definitely the crystal that is there. Yeah, I don't know specifically which. Yeah, the crystal stuff would be in and around Liurnia because of the stuff that's happening at the academy. So if you haven't done Stormvale, you're technically kind of doing some sequence breaking. That said, going up there and leveling up against stuff is no less valid than leveling up against stuff everywhere else. You know, like you got to get strong enough to fight Margit somehow.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
and then other than that, I explored like the underground river or whatever it is a little bit.
Yeah, Shifra Riverwell.
Yeah. I do have to say, in terms of that is one area where I think the that is a very strong kind of environment and graphical style.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we put out a question about it at some point, and like everybody's no. Here's what it was for the episodes where we had people in on Bonfireside Chat to interview, to kind of talk about their experience with the game. We're just like, hey, is there any moment that stood out to you, like something that felt really special? Everybody talks about that first elevator ride down to effectively this game's version of the Underdark.
Yeah, I think it was a very strong decision to just make that elevator so exaggeratedly long.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you like that, there is more in that vein.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that actually, in my, technically this isn't my first playthrough. In my actual first playthrough, that was like one of the first things I found, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I've asked this before, but the segment near the start, I think it's maybe right before Stormvale, or in that kind of area. There's a segment where just wolves fall out of the sky.
Yeah, that's Stormvale. When you're on the road up to, Stormhill rather. When you're on the road up to the outer wall of Stormvale. Yeah.
Is that apropos of anything? Like why they just like, as opposed to like, I don't know, jumping out of the bushes or something that would make a little bit of sense.
Shit's windy. It's called Stormhill for a reason.
Okay, they just blew some wolves in. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
There is no like canon explanation for it.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it's especially weird to me because, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's somewhere else they do that, but, like, that's not the way they, like... there's lots of places where they ambush you, and that's not generally how they do it.
From above?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Doing that, I think my most hated enemy right now is probably the dragonflies.
Yeah, those dragonflies are a little bit of a pain in the ass.
So,
yeah,
but that's what I'm doing now. So,
is this just because it was calling out to you because it was in the news? Like what drew you back to it?
Yeah, I think mainly, and it's one that I've been meaning to give more of a fair shake. Also, every single FromSoft game I've played, ironically enough, I have not beaten any of them. I have made it to like nearly the final boss in Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne.
Yeah, you're pretty damn close in Bloodborne. From what I remember, yeah.
But in all of those cases, I bounced off of the game and then like came back to it like months to years later.
You sit down and like, what even are hands when you pick up the controller?
Exactly. Yeah. I have to say and this is the thing that like actually I wish Bloodborne would have, because that's probably the one I most want to go back and beat. I wish they would have an ability to reset your story progress without resetting your items and levels.
Oh, kind of like Remnant has. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I'm powerful enough that it wouldn't take me long to get back where I am, but playing through all that again would be enough to, like, one, remind me what, all the story beats, and then also, like you said, kind of get it back into my hands.
Yeah, make your hands good.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what is, I did want to ask one kind of gameplay question. I don't know what they call them, the block counters?
Oh, yeah. I forget the name of that mechanic, where you are blocking, and shortly after a hit, if you hit the strong attack, you will do like a strengthened hit.
Yeah. What is, I don't know, what is the role of that in the gameplay? Like, is that something you could base your build around, or what's...
I often forget that that's there because this was not the first of the games that I played, and so I'm used to blocks just being blocks. I believe, when I remember to use them, kind of the role that they fill is to provide an alternative to parrying, right?
Okay.
Parrying, for certain enemies is always going to be the way to go. There are certain bosses kind of built around it, but it requires very precise timing in a way that is off-putting to a lot of people. I am not the greatest at parrying in Elden Ring. I'm okay at it in Sekiro, but that is more built around that's more built around it. The guard counters, or whatever they are called, is a way to give people who are playing sword and board a little bit more juice in combat. So it is not just take hits, and then get in there and find an opening and hit. It's more of a way to make it so you don't always want to do it, because the attack that you block might be followed up by another one in the combo that's going to get you. But it's like, okay, if I find the right moment to attack out of a block at this at this guy, I can take that. It's a little bit of a risk, but I do extra damage, and oftentimes those attacks have a little bit of extra reach.
Okay. Yeah, because what I've been doing so far is just like two-handing an ultra great sword or whatever, or I think just a great sword at this point, but same idea. And so just dodge rolling and all that stuff. But I figured maybe I'll give a shield a try.
Yeah, give it a shot. And it can't hurt to know how to use it, regardless. Make yourself a little more flexible. Yeah. Well, Elden Ring. Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about Elden Ring. Yeah. Ben, being the other person who has played Elden Ring, do you have questions?
On Elden Ring? No, this is just bringing back memories. The one thing that I was thinking about is like the finger jujitsu you had to do to like buff your two hammers and then jump and swing with them, like when you're doing two-handed builds. And it's like, for the life of me, I cannot remember how to do that. I would have to go through and learn that another 15 or 20 minutes to figure that out. But
so that is actually something that I didn't use at all the first time I played, that I'm using a fair amount now, is the jump attack. I don't know, did they add to the like training, the tutorial they give at the start of the game? Because they definitely explicitly tell you that's a thing, but I do not remember that from the last time I played.
So two things are different. There is tutorialization. It is not just the soapstone messages on the ground, like it has been previously. The terse little messages that you can see. It's actual slides that pop up.
Sure.
Additionally, this is not the first FromSoft game to have a jump, like Sekiro had that. Previous ones didn't have jumps. Like you could do one at the end of a sprint, but like it wasn't necessarily mixed in with attacking, and so jumps end up being sometimes a very effective alternate dodge, which is also the case in Sekiro. But being able to attack out of them, that is kind of a new thing. You always had, like, from Dark Souls 1, I think even Demon Souls had this too. Like, if you pressed forward and strong attack at the same time, or roughly in sequence, you would do, like, a leaping forward attack.
Sure,
was there,
yeah.
but it wasn't like I jump and then I attack out of it. Yeah.
yeah, weren't there some puzzles where it's like you had to do that to get to them, like in the original Dark Souls?
Yeah. Like you had to do a little bit of platforming, and there were items that you could get if you were bold and taking jumps. Yeah, but it was awkward.
Yeah, I have noticed a fair amount of platforming in this, which is kind of interesting.
It's neat. It's neat to have the jumping there and see what that does for level design.
Yeah.
I think I left my character by the bird exploit at like 175 or something like that. So it's like, if I ever want to get back into the game, I can just shoot that a bunch of times and then pick a build and then go with that.
Yes. Yeah. Although 175, that's pretty well equipped. Like, I do not have the time to replay Elden Ring to get to the point where it is. But there are like characters, like there are saves you can download that are like, you're at level 150 with all of the all of the special items or whatever, and then you just go and respec to make your character look however you want and have the stats that you want. You know, and like those are, it's like, you know, 125 and 150. The character ranges that are there. So 175 is pretty well put together.
That's my way of playing on easy mode, so I don't have to be good at the game.
Yeah. I also forgot you're on PS5. Those saves are for PC. Yeah. No, I didn't mean that to be a dunk. I'm sorry.
But seriously, do it on PC.
Mods are good. Yeah, Moxie?
I did want to ask, isn't there some way to... I remember someone saying... Sorry, I need to back up. One complaint I do have is that, at least compared to Bloodborne, I think every single soapstone message I've seen so far has just been unbelievably stupid. Isn't there a way to improve that? It seems like I remember someone saying something about that.
There are community groups that you can that you can join that will highlight. So you will see the messages of the people who are in that community. So like if you want to join the Duckfeed one, the one that I put out is Flock, capital F. That's just in the menus. You can put that in. Messages from that group will have a special symbol around them. And it will be less of the, you know, illusory wall ahead in front of everything, or try jumping any of the extremely low effort troll ones, or, you know, worst, like using the magnet poetry to make hateful shit.
Yeah, because the whole, like, try jumping someplace you die, like, that's funny when it's someplace that, like, plausibly you might actually do that. Like, you know, like in front of the well in Firelink Shrine.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, that's kind of clever. I can, but yeah, having that literally anywhere you can fall to your death is kind of like, come on, guys.
Yeah, same thing with like treasure ahead or whatever in front of a wall. It's low effort. Yeah. If you do the capital F Flock one, you're probably going to get good. Probably going to get good results, I think. If people are still active, I don't know, but it will at least highlight the ones that might be worth paying attention to.
It'll be premium trolls, not these cheap trolls.
Yeah. People in this community, they know how to fuck with each other. Nice. Awesome. So Elden Ring, did you have anything else?
No. Well, I mean, I'm still playing Warframe, but, you know, when am I not?
Gotcha. I'll go because I have an old thing that leads into a relatively new thing.
Okay.
This past weekend, I streamed 2 games from a subgenre of horror games that I was unaware of before. And I didn't know it was a subgenre until I started streaming the first one. The subgenre is anomaly games, where which are, you know, kind of like big spot the difference games. And the first one that I streamed was the original one, came out a couple of years ago, called The Exit 8. Is what it is. And then the next night, because the first one got under my skin so much, I streamed the one that came out more recently, like 2-3 weeks ago, called Platform 8, which is
this good type of under your skin?
Yes. Yeah. It was infuriating. It was maddening, really, in a way that I came to really appreciate. So the idea in the Exit 8, I'll talk about that one first, is that you are in a loop. It's kind of like PT. A lot of these games take PT as kind of their main inspiration, right? And you are in a loop walking through a corridor in a Japanese subway station. All right. And you round a corner, you're in a hallway that has some posters on the left side, on the left wall. There are some doors and some vents on the right side. And there is a balding salaryman who is walking opposite you, walking toward you, who has a briefcase and a cell phone. Okay, you walk and you get to the end of that corridor, around the corner again, and you are in what appears to be the same thing. It's it's the same scene: posters, doors, vents, salaryman, etc. Except possibly there will be some kind of anomaly. There is something that is different about it, and you have a choice to make. If it is the scene as established, if nothing is different than as it should be, you proceed. You walk forward, you round the corner at the end, and then the number of the hallway goes up. You round a corner and you see the sign, it says exit 1 instead of exit 0. Okay? If there is an anomaly, if there's anything wrong with what you see, you turn back around and you go back around the corner, and suddenly you're back at the beginning and the sign, advances. If you are wrong on either of these counts, if there is nothing wrong and you go backwards, or if there is something wrong and you go forwards, you restart back at 0. You need to get to the 8th one in order to beat the game. Okay? And what is fun about this is the anomalies that can happen very wildly in the severity of what they of how they present.
And will they happen in the same order, or does it change?
It changes. There are only so many of them.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, there are only so many of them, and I don't want to spoil as many of them, but I don't know, one of the less subtle ones will be a bunch of blood starts rushing from the opposite end of the of the hallway, and you have to turn around and run, because if it hits you, you're going to die. Right?
That's good.
And one of the more subtle ones, one that got me, is everything is perfectly normal, except one of the doorknobs on the doors on the right. It's in the center of the door instead of, where it should be, kind of offset. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if you're walking, you just might not notice that. It'll be out of the corner of your eye, probably. What is demonic about this is the fact that, you do not know at what level the anomalies are going to happen. So when I was playing, I spent all of this time examining and memorizing every detail of the posters on the left side on the left side of the wall. There's one for a veterinarian's office. There's one for a movie coming up. There's a public health one. There's a grocery store. And I was like, okay, well, I can't read the Japanese that's on this, but there are numbers, and there are some dogs in a particular order. So I need to remember it's Kole, bulldog, corgi, Frenchie, right? Something like that. Remember that. And I'm paying attention to that, and something huge and glaring is happening that I do not see because I am too busy. I'm too fixated on looking for differences in the posters.
It's the dancing bear syndrome.
Exactly. Just because,
are there dancing bears?
No, there are no dancing bears, but there's stuff that, there's stuff that once you realize what was happening, you're like, why the fuck didn't I notice that?
That's right? Great.
So can I give my favorite anomaly?
In the Exit 8?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think my favorite is, like you mentioned, every time you enter this hallway, there's the same salaryman, walking and just completely ignores you. Mm-hmm. And there's one where he just, as he walks past, he turns and looks at you. Uh-huh. The thing I love about it is it's actually super not subtle, because something you realize is that humans have an innate sense of someone who is looking at me that shouldn't be.
It's not just humans. That's a primate thing.
Right, exactly. And so as soon as it happens, even though it's some of these are, fairly threatening, or a woman with no face, or something creepy. Yeah. But that one, at least to me, is the most creepy one, because it's immediately lizard brain, or I guess primate brain is do not perceive me.
No. It's like me when a camera comes out.
Yeah.
That's why I always wear Heelys. That is a very good one. And there are a bunch of them. I think we spoiled 3 of them. I'd recommend you go play this. I think that it took me an hour or so to get through. this one, and it is a cool experience. So there's one even more demonic thing. Remember how I said like sometimes there's nothing wrong and you just have to go forward?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you know how maddening that is when you get punished? Like, okay, there was something that I missed and I leaped back around to 0. I don't know what it was. I must need to pay closer attention. The paranoia that sets in when you're like, okay, is everything really right? Or do I need to double and triple check this? Did I remember to check the security cameras? Did I remember to do this or that? When sometimes the answer is no, like trust your gut. It's all the same. Well, no, I fucking can't trust my gut because I thought there was nothing before and then it burned me. And
did you ever pick anomaly when it was completely fine?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No. Yeah, because I was like, because there are some things that you forget, right? Like, there's an emergency panel, and like, wait a minute, were there 2 lights on that, or was there just one? I couldn't remember, but it's like, it seems weird that there's just one. So I'm going to go back.
The fact that it stood out to me means it must be different.
Yes. Yeah. So, like, this is playing with some, like, just like the dancing bear thing, like some real, like, Oliver Sacks, like, neuroscience kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
very
great way
canny
to use the human brain against itself.
Yeah. Oh, no. So, like, over the course of the hour and 15 minutes or whatever that I played this, the experience was of my brain devouring itself. It was wonderful.
Normal weekend activity.
Yeah, it's fine. Just a regular Friday night, getting my kicks.
So something I was going to suggest, and I don't know if this is, something you do or anything, but I would love, maybe not this one, because I'm not sure the person who made this speaks English, but I would love to see an interview with someone who made one of these just like ultra small, even especially the fact that the game's not very scary.
Yeah.
Games, like, I'd be interested to just hear someone talk about, like, what is my motivation? Because like, I don't think they're making much money on this. It's a cheap game, that sort of thing. Like, I'd just be interested to hear, like, what is the inner life of someone who just, like, I'm going to make a cool thing and, like, put it out in the world,
Yeah. Well, I would want to know how much of this is intentional. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, everything about this is very meticulously designed. There is an effect that they are going for, et cetera. But, like, what kind of, research went into, like, optimizing these to play on that effect?
Right.
How much of that, devious psychology am I just filling in, again, from the process of my mind eating itself? Right? Yeah. I don't know. It's really neat. Also neat, but to my mind, not quite as neat, is the follow-up, Platform 8. This one, instead of being in a corridor, you are walking through a train, okay? And it is train car by train car. It is just an empty passenger train, subway car kind of thing, except for the fact that there is the salaryman is there. He is sitting on one of the seats, and he is messing with his phone, not paying any attention to you. And you need to go through, iterate the number up to number 8 so you can get off the train and leave. Okay? This is different. It's not the case where if there is no anomaly, I go forward, and if there is an anomaly, I go backward in order to proceed. It is always going forward. And there are 2 kinds of anomalies. There are the subtle ones, where something will be, amiss with the signs or like reflections in the window or whatever. But like there's a sign on the door at the far end of the train that says like, hey, make the anomaly go away before you proceed. And then it's just a matter of, hunting to see what is wrong and then like staring at it for a few seconds until it goes back, and then you can proceed. So it lets you know when there's a subtle one. If there's a major one, it presents itself as an obstacle that you need to figure out how to get around. All you have is, looking and using. but it is this narrow subway train with something that could very possibly hurt you if you do not, navigate around it in the right way. And the danger isn't, oh, I got this wrong, and then I go back to the beginning. It is, oh, I fell victim to this anomaly, in some form or fashion. And there we go. I'm back to the beginning. It's more of like a traditional, like, I died and, need to start over again from the beginning kind of deal. Still randomized. But because everything is signaled, like either the anomaly is super obvious or there is a sign at the end that tells you, hey, there's an anomaly, address it before you go, it does take away that the brain is eating itself kind of function, which makes this more accessible. I could see people getting way too frustrated with Exit 8 and finding Platform 8 to be a little bit more digestible, but it does feel a little bit less special.
Yeah, it seems to take out like the core gameplay of it.
Yeah,
and maybe that's a vote in favor of the first game's kind of key thing that made it attractive to you was not intentionally designed. Is that they missed it in the second?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if they missed it. I think that they made a conscious choice to design it. Design it for a different audience. It feels like.
Got it.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I think this might be like the third or the fourth in the series, because I think there's another one on a plane in between these two that they made.
So there were plenty of like copycats after this, after the Exit 8. I do not know. I think that this developer only has the two games. The developers Kotake Create. Yeah, these are the only two games, but there are other ones that are kind of like it. I would believe there's a plain one.
Yeah, I'm looking at their Twitter, which I highly recommend because there is some amazing Platform 8 fan art on that.
Yeah, you shared a really good one. Yeah.
But it looks to me like... Great, it's also all in Japanese, so I'm interpreting. It looks to me like this is probably just one guy, because most of the tweets are, are like about the game and, stuff like that, but a lot of them seem to just be like him liking things he thinks are cool. Like it looks like it's actually someone's Twitter feed.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Again, all in Japanese, so I don't know for sure, but...
Hey, what is the Delicious and Dungeon crew eating in here? Because there's nothing edible besides the man. Besides the salary man.
I mean, technically, is the salary man not a monster? Is capitalism not the true monster?
I would say capitalism has rendered the wage slave into a beast. But I don't know. I think it's only a monster on certain loops, I guess. Yeah, I haven't gotten far enough in Dungeon Meshi to see if they resort to cannibalism. I wouldn't put them above it, eating something sentient, but
we'll see.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Ben, you have probably seen something like it on a plane. It makes sense because this ended up being pretty popular. I mean, for something that came out, the first one came out at the end of 2023. So
there's also some a number of other things in this genre. I know there's like a bunch of them where the conceit is that you're like a security person watching a a security feed, and you have to like do a like what change type of thing.
Yeah, I'm on observation duty. Is the name of that series,
yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of those.
I don't know if what was the one you played a while back that was like you're the help desk for like exterminating various monsters. I don't know if that would technically be considered in this genre.
Yeah, Home Safety Hotline is the name of that one. I don't know. That is more of like a diagnosis thing. It's like how well do you know a monster manual kind of test. Yeah. Huh. I don't know. These were neat. I had never played one of these. I'm going to keep an eye out for more of them on the future. Maybe I'll do an observation duty one at some point. Oh, weird. I'm on observation duty 3 has VR support. Huh.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah. So that's me. Any questions about Exit 8 or Platform 8?
No, but an idea where you do one of those games, but you're on a podcast. And you gotta figure out when someone's telling the same old story again, or you're truly in a loop.
That's just life, I think. Oh gosh, Dennis, Ben, which of you wants to go next?
There's got to be a joke in there, like the podcast number keeps going up, so we keep doing the right answer. I could go. I just have one that's pretty short. I finished up Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. So I don't have too much to say about it. I think last time I talked about it, I was kind of stuck on an endgame-ish puzzle where I kind of knew the answer, but there was like a lot of work that needed to go in of kind of back and forthing to finish it. So I did finish that part of it, which got me to like the end game, like quote unquote. And then I played to a certain point until I got stuck, and then I watched a YouTube video.
Yep.
And so it'll fall into that genre of games for me.
Yeah. The YouTube ending is valid.
Yeah, but it's like a little bit disappointing. Like the production on this game is good, and like some of the puzzle design is really good in it, and so it's a very bittersweet type game. Like I think this game is totally worth your time, especially if you buy it for like $5 to $10 maybe. But at like 25, it's like I don't know if I wouldn't like strongly recommend this game.
Yeah.
But it's really like your child if they're like a mess up or something where it's like you love them, but I don't know how to justify this. So anyway,
it just sounds like the chore of getting around got in the way of actual like joy of puzzle solving.
Yeah, and it's like the end game puzzle. I'm not sure how they expect you to get it without using like a wiki. Like there's too many like leaps in logic that you would need to make in order to figure it out, in my opinion. So again, it's one of those things where it's like it keeps asking you to go through the information that you have, but by the end of the game, that's expanded to this like library or codex of all these things, and so it's like it's just not reasonable to ask that sort of thing. And so I was trying to think again, like thinking of everything compared to The Witness or whatever, but I was trying to compare it to that, where it's like at least with The Witness does a good job of like telling you what type of puzzle you're solving, and at least tries to give you like checkpoints of like how far you are through it, like where else you might need to go to get it. I'm thinking with maybe like the second level puzzles versus the single puzzles. And at least there you're confident when you have enough information to solve the puzzle versus when you don't. Whereas like here, it's not the case with that, since there's so many cases where it's like, oh, well, if you just read this one page and made the connection that this page is related to this puzzle, then you could figure it out. And so then it's like a constant sense of like, well, I don't know if I can solve this or not, and I don't really want to go through this like 100 like pieces of text I have to see if there's a connection. It kind of falls apart towards the end because of that. So yeah, seems like an issue with like design where it's like there's no way around it unless you somehow try and like isolate the puzzle somehow so that people can kind of deduce it more quickly. But anyway, I think other people maybe who are more like S tier level detectives, they would probably appreciate what's there and not want that sort of change. So it could just be that it's not for me. So
yeah. Okay. Well, like I said last week, it's a shame that the wheels fell off.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, just based on how well you liked it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where are you moving to next?
I don't know, so
okay.
I'll listen to more what everyone else is playing and maybe get ideas from that.
Okay, all right.
Ooh, if you haven't gotten any already, you're not going to get some here.
Ooh. All right, go ahead, Dennis.
And it's not for lack of trying. I tried to play games this week, but the universe
you were in a cabin surrounded by running kids. They surrounded you. You couldn't get out.
Yeah, that part, aside, even at my own home. That's when you
need games.
Yes. I brought my Steam Deck and played a shit ton of the Downfall mod of Slay the Spire. It was wonderful. Yeah. But no, I got home and at my PC and I'm like, what do I want to play here? I could go. I'll play some Immortals of Avium. I'm committed. I think to finish this. No. First off, the EA launcher needed updated.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that. And even before that, I couldn't figure out why the game wasn't launching when I clicked the desktop icon. So eventually I figured, oh, the launcher needs updating. And then I got the launcher updated and saw that the game needs updating. And that's some gigantic download, which I guess they stuffed more graphics into it.
Okay.
So, good for them. But it just took so long. It was a huge download. My internet was slow or something. I was like, this isn't worth it. I'll do something else. You know what? I haven't done it, but I want to use my racing wheel. I got a hankering for a racing game. Let's pull out Forza Motorsport. Have some fun with that. That needed an update. So, okay. I'll start downloading that update, and then that's taken forever. And then I saw some news that I guess I'll use this to talk about because the story I brought is something else. But Diablo, they announced their first expansion. One of the things that they're adding with the expansion is pets, where they're companions that will run around and help you pick up gold and gear. And they've put some in the game right now for people to mess around with. So I was like, that's okay. I'll check that out. There's something new in Diablo for me to see. That needed an update. To add the pets in, I guess. And so here I am on my third game, needing a massive download to add, I don't even really know what content. And I was just like, forget it last night. I was like, I'll go to bed at a reasonable time. Fine, you win, universe. And
so literally every game that you tried to play defeated you.
Yes, and even the launchers were ganging up on me. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Sheesh.
So
nothing.
I love PC gaming, but I hate PC gaming.
Yeah. I just the stars lined up. Rarely is it all of them doing this to you.
Yeah, well, I think I was gone it was a total of like 5 days on vacation, right? Yeah. Like that's all it took to just fuck everything on my computer.
It's terrible. Like. Just install it. You're not going to give me an option, so just install it automatically. It's not a choice
just
anymore.
Go.
So just
do
it.
This is where the indie games shine, because it's like you just have to race one program or one person desperately programming, and it's like you can keep up with that. But if you have an entire company of people adding content, then blah.
Yeah, you're done for.
So yeah, I mean. Like I said, I did a little bit of Steam Deck gaming on vacation, but that was my go-to. My forever game for the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a ton new.
The meme I shared in our backstage Slack, that I started making that when you said like, oh, I thought I would play some Immortals of Avium. It is Homer with the big rotten foot, 10-foot long sub that he eats over the course of several weeks. Dennis going back for more Immortals of Avium.
This is basically true.
Just eating this thing, though it is killing you.
Oh Lord! There's some good bits to bring, though. It makes for good content or something. I don't know.
Did I forget? Did I pitch to you? Check out Terra Invicta.
Oh yes, yeah. I talked about that a while ago, and maybe found out my computer was made in Russia.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes. You have the communist computer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with that one, it was like, oh, XCOM without the tactics layer is not necessarily for you.
Not my jam.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. So that's big fat nothing for me.
Well, not for lack of trying, like you said.
Not for lack of trying.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, I mentioned that I was doing some Diablo stuff this week, or at least trying to, and watching the new cinematic of the Diablo trailer for their expansion was the one good experience from all of that, and it got me thinking about the cinematics. So we don't like it when video games think that they're movies, but there are also some really good cinematics in games. So, what is your favorite gaming cinematic?
And we'll get started here with Peter, who says, for the game that I enjoy playing and keep bringing up, Rogue Galaxy has some great cutscenes and cinematic sequences for the PS2 game. With that being said, the presentation from the Shadow of Mordor series, which combines excellent presentation with gameplay. However, my final answer is for Persona 5 Royal, or even the base game of Persona 5, as both have fantastic visual and cinematic sequences to the story, and everything about either game is just oozing style. Yeah. I don't know that I've seen any cinematics from Persona 5. Everything that I've seen has been either appreciation for the music or appreciation for the interface design.
Well, I think its art style lends itself to weaving between gameplay and cinematic even more seamlessly than usual.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like I think this is Persona 5, the opening heist that you're a part of. Mm-hmm. Has several very cinematic parts, but you're also, doing some jumping and running, etc.
Yeah. And we only got 2 this time, so let's see. Ben, what does Kyle say?
Kyle says, when it comes to cinematic masterpieces, Red Alert 3 is up there with Tim Curry's finest work.
That's a bold statement.
So Clue.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Like, Tim Curry's definitely been in some shit, but it is hard to say like what his best or worst thing is, because Tim Curry's always the best thing about whatever he's in.
Yeah.
Color of Magic. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God. J.K. Simmons and George Takei were also in Red Alert 3.
Yeah, George Takei is the head of the Japanese faction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it does a very good job.
It's a weirdly star-studded cast. It's worth just like looking up a compilation of the cutscenes on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Just to flit around them, scrub through them.
I think one of the best is are several instances where Tim Curry just fails to keep a straight face and just starts laughing.
Oh, most famously, we must go to where capitalism has not reached yet, space. Because he's saying in a Russian accent, and it's just he can't do it.
All right.
Yeah.
File this one away for watching later.
Yeah. For me, I'm just going to do this recent. I don't know if it's my favorite overall, because there's plenty of good games with great cinematics, but just like recently, like Indica, that game about the Russian nun.
Yeah.
Like that has some amazing cinematics. And they're like doing actual adventurous things with like framing and blocking. Really, there's something amazing they do with a dead dog on a water wheel. That gets to a really good effect. I think that is that's going to be mine for right now. That's the one that has stuck with me the most.
Sure, nice.
Yeah. Moxie, how about you?
Man, I am having a hard time thinking because there's a lot of cinematic games I love, like the first 2 Max Payne games, stuff like that. But I'm trying to think of games where the actual cinematics, were something special, and that's really tough. I mean, I could cheat and say, like, most of the music in Warframe is over cinematics. And, some of that is really good. However, a lot of that's more the music.
Yeah.
I will say the Warframe's most recent, the new war, the new war mission does some neat things with cinematics in that it does a lot of you'll be doing something and all of a sudden the camera will like take over and shift and it'll be to some other like element of the game of the 51 different games they've shoved in the game.
Yeah.
So like one of the obscure things is they have their kind of pseudo, kind of third-person shooter take on FTL. And so there's like a sequence where, something's about to get like rocketed, and all of a sudden your ship dives in front, and then you're in the ship and you're playing that game mode. So there's some neat stuff with that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe this is showing that cutscenes aren't actually that great of an idea.
I mean, depending on the game. Yeah.
Gotta load your content somewhere.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, this isn't like a specific answer, but I'd say like all the Naughty Dog and like God of War type games, like cutscenes that blend with gameplay like seamlessly, I think are like something that's very like unique to video games, where it's like something where it's like you are in the action and like more so than just like watching a film, where because they'll constantly ping pong back between you needing to do something and then going into a cutscene.
Are you describing QuickTime events? Because it sounds like you're loving on QuickTime events right now.
Not necessarily that, but something like that, I guess. Like, any of the climactic fights, like in the third acts of the God of War. Like, think of like the original God of War, where spoiler alert for that game, where it's like the Titan fight towards the end of the game. Like, that's something I like. Sure, you can have that in a movie, but it's cool that it hands you the reins, like, during the important parts, so you feel like you're more a part of what's happening on screen. So
yeah, it's at least like dynamic between. Okay, this is cinematic, but the I don't know, path of action is continuous. It's not like cutting to something is like, okay, we are steering you for this particular part of it and then letting you loose for this. Yeah. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, so after thinking about it, I what came to mind was the opening almost like music videos for each of the Borderlands games.
Okay.
And they're just so good. Like, there's nothing especially
there has to be
fancy.
something good about Borderlands.
Yeah. There's nothing super fancy going on graphically, but just the way they marry up the song, the introduction of the characters, and the action so perfectly. It just sets the tone for the games. I went back and watched them today because I thought, I was like, are those as good as I remember? And I think I laughed out loud during every single one. Like, it's really, really good. The first one is No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant.
Okay.
Which is just sets the tone perfectly for the first Borderlands game. The second one is Shortchange Hero by The Heavy. I didn't recognize it before, but it's a song from out in the real world that they pulled in. And then maybe indicating the series' potential decline in quality while rising in popularity. The third game was also by The Heavy, but it was written specifically for Borderlands 3.
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
Didn't land as well.
Yeah.
But man, those first two are just perfect, and like you can only do with in iterations in a franchise. The second one kind of plays off your expectations in the first one in some fun ways. Vis-a-vis who is getting hit. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you, folks, for responding. If you would like to participate in these, you can join the Duckfeed community Facebook group. Watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. And thank you, Dennis, for posting.
The end, boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games and how we feel about them. I'll get us started here because we have a couple that are... we have two that are game announcements. We are in the corridor of... So you know how they think the meteor belt, or the asteroid belt in our solar system was once a planet that got blown up?
Yeah.
And suddenly it's a bunch of big old rocks. It's like that, but for E3. E3 blew up,
Okay.
and then we have all these press conferences with stuff being announced. There was, what is it, Summer Games, whatever, Jeff Keighley's thing. Microsoft had theirs. There was an Ubisoft one. Maybe there was a Sony thrown in there. It's a big mess. We're not going to talk about everything that was announced, but I think that I brought one that I'm excited about, and Dennis, you brought one that you're at least interested in. So I'll get us started here with mine. There's going to be a new Life is Strange game.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
How directly related to the previous two?
Incredibly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Life is Strange Double Exposure. You are playing as the protagonist of the first game. You are playing as Max Caulfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the other exposure?
So the idea is it is also it's another murder mystery. Another person who is important to Max gets killed. And she uses her power for the first time in a very long time. She's an adult now. And the double exposure is she is like going back and forth between two parallel universes, one where this person is still alive and one where they are not, trying to solve and prevent the murder in both places. There's a lot that is left unanswered in the in the trailer that is there. They're in a new setting. Depending on the choices you make, that probably makes sense.
It looks like some kind of winter wonderland in the thumbnail.
Yeah, I don't know specifically where they're at. What were you going to say, Moxie?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, like, the big controversy, for lack of a better word, I've heard is the fact that they're going to have to decide which ending is canon.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a like a save import, because like a save import from Life is Strange 1 into Life is Strange 2 made a small difference, you know?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So I am the sacrifice ending of Life is Strange 1 I just despise because like the save import from that would be nothing because it just says, oh, it was all a dream, basically.
And or at least it's like a time rewind kind of deal.
Yeah, it just undoes the entire game, and I hate it so much.
No, it has to. The leave ending is the one you got to do. I think
it's
reasonable. People can disagree, but
in that this is a game where like. Overall game, one of my favorite. That ending, I hate it almost as much as the Stanley Parable.
Yeah, and you're not alone in that. Like that is a huge sticking point. When I say that there are questions that are unanswered, like they are going to have to make a decision because what happened to Chloe? You know, like that is a beloved character that's depending on your choice, you know, that they may or may not have to deal with. Yeah.
So
maybe there's two different outcomes in the two different realities.
Well, yeah. So that's what some people are speculating. Although I don't know, my read on this, and maybe this was just me, is that like if you keep Chloe alive, this is just going to keep building, and so like if she's alive, that's an extinction level event. Mm-hmm. So like I don't see how they could ever not make the sacrifice ending the canonical ending, assuming there's still people alive. But
no clue. Yeah. We're gonna find out. You know, the game's coming out on October 29th. I'm curious about it. Two pieces of controversy around this. People say Max looks different. Like looks too different? No, she's still.
Isn't she like 10 years older or something?
Yeah, she's 10 years older and it's a different art style. Like, yeah. Like it's fine. Stop being weird nerds.
Yeah, it was weird because like I definitely would have recognized the character.
Yeah.
Gamers against aging.
Just like gamers against jawbones. And
oh god.
Wait, what?
There was some new Perfect Dark game announced or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and people are saying they made Joanna Dark woke because you can see that she has a jawbone. You know, it's not like an anime baby doll, you know, just whatever.
It's not what's on my waifu pillow, therefore it is not acceptable.
I love how crazy everybody's getting. Anytime a new character design is put out, people whip out the fucking calipers and do phrenology, trying to transvestigate. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point it's marketing. Like, you have to do something to get those people angry about your characters so that they'll talk about them.
I've got no...
and then it's free headlines.
I hope that they're not feeding those assholes. The other one is that there's been some controversy around Deck 9, the studio that is developing this, because Don't Nod has moved on to doing different stuff. Deck 9 has taken over the series since True Colors. Deck 9 did the Before the Storm content, which is really good. But apparently Deck Nine has a really toxic studio culture, and there are some Nazis who work there who keep trying to, who at least at some point, one of the quote wokest games that there possibly could be. They've got Nazis working there trying to slip stuff in, and the studio management, at least reportedly, was not very responsive to people who worked there, saying, "Hey, we need to get rid of this." So who knows if they've cleaned house since that expose? I've got no idea. Time is going to tell. I'm excited to see what happens with Max. Like that character, like that game, like this series. Cool to see it back.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah. What's the other thing, Dennis? What's happening in the Doom universe?
Yeah, so there's kind of two parts to this story for me. First off is there's a new Doom game coming, which is cool. And it's going to the Dark Ages, at least in name, but it's very clear from the trailer that these Dark Ages, while it does have like dragons and flails and stuff, are still very much like gun-centric Dark Ages.
Yeah, it's Doom Hell Dark Ages stuff.
Yes. Which, don't look at it too hard. It's Doom. Just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
There is a shrapnel cannon that feeds human skulls into it that crushes up and fires out. Mm-hmm. That's rad as hell. And like I said, you get a flail, which is rad as hell. And then the second part of this story, for me anyway, is that Doom Guy is getting a shield.
Okay.
That's like the big new thing is he gets a shield. It's a saw blade shield, so it's got like, chainsaw around the edges, and you can use it to attack and stuff. But it rang a bell, and I searched for this interview. I couldn't find it, but I remember from, I think it was like when Doom Eternal was coming out, there was like a dev interview, and they're talking about the design theory behind Doom, and just that everything is aggression, right? Everything is push forward. You refill your health by getting melee kills. You got to get up close and personal to refill your ammo as well. And like everything is oriented. Everything is oriented towards reward and encourage aggression. Mm-hmm. To which, that makes sense for the type of game it is, and it works extremely well for anyone who's played the Doom reboot or Doom Eternal. But that dev specifically says, we messed around with some ideas of giving him a shield, and it just felt wrong. Because inherently in a shield, you're turtling up, you're taking away the aggression, it's defensive, and so we chucked it, and that's not something that we would ever do because we're dedicated to the idea of kind of the style of gameplay that we want to encourage. And so that I don't know why that was rolling around in my head, but I saw Doom for the Dark Age, or Doom the Dark Ages. Looks cool, but I'm just like, oh man, are we getting the shelved stuff that didn't make it into Eternal? Not to say that stuff isn't good or fun, but yeah, that was kind of the one mark against what otherwise looks like a very Doom-ass Doom game.
I think that there are ways you can do it where it wouldn't be turtly, but I don't know if they continue on the trajectory from Doom Eternal, like the shield, blocking stuff with the shield will cause a different kind of drop. Power up drop to happen that'll fill up some kind of meter that is also a cooldown that you have to manage in order to feed into something else.
Yeah,
that's more the part that I'm worried is them continuing and that just
system bloat.
Yeah, system bloat. 7 different cooldowns, seven different pickups. Blah.
Yeah, and in the trailer they show like I said, there's a chainsaw aspect to it, so it is used that way. Doom Guy can clearly throw it, so there's that. It seems that they are like, what is the most offensive version of a shield we can have, and that's what they're designing for. It's just interesting to remember them so clearly denouncing it, and then seeing like, nope, we're actually going to use that.
And developers can change their mind. Maybe they solved it.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping, because the game looks rad.
Yeah.
A dragon with laser wings? Yes, please.
I want to know, like, okay, yes, conceptually, dragon with laser wings could be cool. I want to see how fighting that is different.
Yeah. I want to know how you get lift with laser wings.
I think it gets it from elsewhere. I think that at that point it's just for intimidation.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Doom Dark Age. Let's see. So we've got 2 non-game announcement stories here. Let's do Moxie. Yours. What's happening with not Gloomwood, same publisher, different developer. What's happening with the Ultrakill folks?
Yeah, so the developer of Ultrakill has come out and said that, if you can, if you've got the money, you should definitely support indie games. But, if you don't have the money, he's totally cool with you pirating Ultrakill. And has said that, culture shouldn't exist only for those who can afford it. And just ask that, if you do play it and you like it, let people know. And because, if that convinces someone to buy the game, that's at worst an equal trade.
Yeah. I think that's sensible and reasonable. I think that there are people who hear that argument and say, oh, well, so we shouldn't buy games ever. Just it ends up being like arguments around this end up being very difficult to read, just because it's an awful lot of people making up a guy to get mad at.
Yeah, totally.
And, notice that this is not this person saying pirate everything you can.
Right,
it is them
exactly.
saying like, hey, if Ultrakill, if you like Ultrakill and you want to play it but can't afford it, then go ahead. It's not saying nobody has a right to charge for their shit.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I looked at this game and it actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Arena shooter, real stylized, hyperkinetic kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, I also saw that the lead developer has developed a butt plug plugin for the game because if you don't have a normal Rumble pack.
Yeah, yeah. That's an API for certain erotic games that the different developers can plug into. Any of them that are like network connected. Yeah. So like that's literally just them integrating like a weird little library that says, all right, well, instead of routing the force feedback to the controller, send it elsewhere.
But in this case, it's a official part. It's an official mod.
Yes.
You don't understand. I only have it for the Rumble.
Yeah. No, it's kind of like chess. It makes me better. Makes me more competitive.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's takes all kinds,
Mm-hmm.
And let's
Of butt plugs. It takes all kinds of butt plugs.
there's a variety. Ben, what's going on? What's the postmortem on that Suicide Squad game?
So I'm actually going to have 2 stories, if I may be so bold as to do that this week. The first one, as you alluded to, it's an article that came out this past week written by Jason Schreier, I believe a renowned game journalist / tweeter. I don't know much about him, but apparently people respect him. Whatever.
Does a bunch of like games labor reporting kind of stuff. Yeah, seems to be a force for good based on what I've seen.
Yeah, he wrote more or less like an expose on the behind the scenes of Suicide Squad after interviewing like 20 plus employees to just talk about their experiences while they were there. And basically it was like a lot of like, yep, that makes total sense if you read the article, but kind of the high level points are Warner Brothers executives came in and said, hey, we just made the Suicide Squad movie. It made $200 million. You're going to make that for your next game. And so they were like a year into development on like a puzzle game that they were going to do as a follow-up to the Batman games. It just had a code name of Stones, I believe. So it's unclear if it was directly related in the DC universe or not, but that promptly got canceled and scrapped, and then they were told to make a Suicide Squad game. Similar vein, they were basically told to make it a multiplayer game in the same vein of like Destiny or League of Legends, since those were popular games at the time that were making money long after the initial launch, and that was the kind of desired effect. And so some of the big complications with this was that they were making an entirely new game that they had never made before, and then the studio size went from 160 people to 250 people, and kind of put a strain on management and bottlenecks to like them getting content through and making the game. So anyway, kind of disappointing series of events. I think the thing that I kind of chuckled at is like mentioned that executives were reviewing the game the entire time and saying like, it looks great. You're doing a great job, y'all. And we expect this to make like $100 million. and neither of those things happened. So anyway,
I don't want to be dismissive, but all of this is stuff that one could have inferred from the outside. It's very good to get confirmation, but like the idea that that this studio that makes single player games was marched down the plank by executives at the behest of shareholders. That all lines up. Yeah.
And as you said, it's good to hear it, like get confirmation that is the case of what happened. And at the same time too, it's like I don't know what situation Sefton Hill was in, but it's like that is a situation where the game director has to step up and be like, hey, we're not going to do this. But, at a certain point, if you're owned by Warner Brothers, I have no idea what leverage you have in that situation.
I've got no idea. And I don't know that I would want to be, I don't know, maybe when this development started, it wasn't anywhere as bad. But like, I don't know that I would want to be stepping down and entering the market,
Anyway, it's an interesting read. So if you have any interest in that game and how it went horribly wrong, I'd say it's worth a read. It's a short, like 5-10 minute read.
I mean, what I want is for that reporting to be a big discouragement for similar things happening in the future.
The kind of, I think the end note of the article too, not to give too much away, was that like the amount that the game lost, like 200 million, was about as much as the movie made. That like that prompted the making of the game. So there's an interesting symmetry there.
That's excellent.
But yeah,
man, I feel like my takeaway from this is I really want a Batman puzzle game. That sounds amazing.
I mean, as a side note, the Sefton Hill and I think some of the other founders of the company and then lead programmers broke off to their own video game company, essentially. In 2 years ago. So whatever game they want to make, they'll probably put it out in the coming years. So still a chance to see something like that at least, but probably not with the DC branding.
No.
All right, a second story, because I remember this midway through, that I do feel like is important to talk about, is this was announced, I think, a day or two ago. And I believe we've mentioned this streamer on stream or on podcast before, but a popular Twitch streamer named Ludwig, I guess he was on YouTube, maybe he's back on Twitch, released a game publishing company and announced it this past week. This is kind of like a uh-oh type story for me, because like Video Game Donkey did this like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. I haven't heard of that before.
And then brought Animal, found the developer who made Animal well. And that was great. But now I feel like this is starting a pattern now where it's like people with money are like, oh, I'm going to do that exact same thing. And so now like the floodgates are opening up where it's like these call to actions from, like YouTubers with money who are like, any single devs like making a game, here, we'll give you money. Like come contact us. Like that sort of thing. Cause at least that's what this video seems to establish is they ask, for anyone to contact them if they're making a game by themselves, and then there'll be a publisher for the game. But this seems kind of like a kind of raise my eyebrow pattern where it's like, it seems like this is just going to be the next step of like mini, like EAs and mini like Activisions where it's like, we'll give you money, but we're going to get the majority of the profits now instead of, which, maybe there's a place for that, but it's like, I don't know. I'm immediately skeptical of like this sort of pattern, that more and more people are doing it. So indie devs, sometimes find publishers useful, and that money might be the only way they get their stuff made. I am provisionally in favor of this as long as it keeps cool stuff being made, right? I guess I'm not against it on principle.
So I guess maybe a differentiating factor is like, for example, I think John Blow started like it's like the Indie Game Fund or something like that. This was like pre like him being alt-right, whatever. Like back when he was doing like GDC talks, like pre-Witness and stuff like that. And like that seemed good because it was like kind of like more or less like a nonprofit sort of entity that was made. Where it's like with this, the streamer in particular who started this is like somebody who took like Assassin's Creed like sponsorship to make like content or whatever, or like a Red Bull sponsorship or whatever. It's like seems very prone to doing things for money at the expense of, you know, like selling content to their users. So it's like I'm kind of mistrustful that there's like good intentions behind this and like promoting like fun games and more of just like something to make more money. But
yeah, I've known a number of streamers that have like made games or kind of sponsored making games, that sort of thing. But it does seem like a little bit of a different thing than just like all of them I saw. It wasn't just like, hey, if you've got a game, like come let me throw money at you. You know, like
the gosh, what was it? Jeff Keighley's thing was a little bit of a bummer all around. And just there wasn't an awful lot of cool stuff. There was nothing cool, but just not huge things. But like the one announcement that was like I think an unalloyed good is the fact that the Among Us developers started their like not a publishing company, but literally just a fund that is like, hey, you know, like a grant kind of thing. And said like, hey, you know, come to us, you know, make your pitch, and we'll just like give you money just as a way to, you know, pass forward the benefit of their unexpected runaway success. You know, that to me seems to be the ideal model of it, which is like, hey, we've identified something promising. Here's the money. You know, go right ahead. You know,
as long as those funds aren't used to create another worldwide pandemic to try and create the success of the other game, then I'm good with it.
I don't know if those kinds of strings are attached. Yeah, I also don't know anything. Is this Ludwig? Is this the person who did like the I'm going to stream every second of my life for, you know, a month? Yeah, kind of thing.
Yep.
So he's like a Mr. Beast alike.
Yeah, kind of. It's, you know, been a journey of like increasing corporate sponsorship type things. I think that a lot of streamers kind of have that trajectory.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I like that Mr. Beast alike is now a word or whatever.
It's just a kind of guy, you know. All these people, they just need to just emulate the modest podcast impresario. You know. Oh well. So we'll see. I don't know. Is there like, have they announced a game, or is it just like hanging a shingle and looking for pitches at this point?
They did announce one fighting game that's in production already. So something that's like similar to like a Smash Brothers game. So yeah.
Well, there we go. This is a shorter episode, but how do you all feel about buttoning it up?
I feel good. I can get back to updating.
The credit.
Thank you so much to you for listening to level number 503. You know, sometimes you drop a decade, sometimes you drop 100 episodes off your show. It's all cool. There's no worry. If you like the show, you can support us in a bunch of different ways. There's Patreon, there's liking and subscribing. There is leaving positive reviews if you want to. We are on YouTube Music now, and that upload process is now there, so episodes should be dropping day and date. There should not be that huge of a delay on them. So those are just YouTube videos that are served to you in a different app. Like, they're still videos that you can upvote and leave comments on, so that will help. I don't know. It's all just magic. Just feed the algorithm for us. I don't know what you need to feed them. Maybe 3 hams, maybe not 3 hams. I don't know.
Souls.
Tell your friends so we can make a game publishing company.
I don't know. I don't know the logistics. I know how to publish podcasts pretty well, as long as me or Gary is making them.
I mean, technically, Des already has a game publishing company. It's just also a game making company.
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Vertically integrated.
I think that most of our support at this point, I think we've established our, I'm not saying this is never going to change. I think I'm pretty happy being a podcaster. I like making podcasts. I don't know that I want to get into the game publishing business.
You have to grow until you collapse under your own weight. That is the way.
No, I'm
Can't
sorry.
Can't stop.
Yeah. Anyway, Dennis, what's going on with speaking of your games and stuff? What should people know about Deck of Wonders?
They should know that I will be at Origins. I guess at the time you hear this, next weekend. So yeah, be at Origins in Columbus. I'll be at booth 1919. Come say hi. And then also, as I mentioned last week, the first expansion for the game is coming out, The Master of Dungeons. And I, starting today, the day we record, have started posting teasers and art, etc. for it. So lots of more exciting stuff to come on that front.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, does anybody else have something they want to promote that I'm not aware of?
Happy Pride Month, y'all.
Yes, Happy Pride Month. I'm sorry we didn't say it last.
Pride.
We didn't say it last week. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, in the backstage, we've also been sharing Pride Month memes. Sorry, it's episode 504, not 503, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck me. 504.
It says on your pod app what this is.
Yeah, it is. Oh well. I'm tired. So let's go. I've been Kole Ross. You can follow me on Blue Sky at Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
I'm Money. I'm Money Smith now. I'm Moxie. This has been a week.
I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. Who has titles?
I got you.
Okay.
I just had Mr. Beast to like.
I don't know if I want that to be the main title.
Then the algorithm will latch on to you. It'll never let go.
Uh-huh.
We have to just start off the podcast by shouting randomly.
Yeah. That sounds just so tiring. What you got, Dennis?
Oh, I've got Make Your Hands Good.
Okay.
for relearning the controls between Souls games. And then I also have Gamers Against Aging as an organization name.
Okay.
That's actually pretty good.
Ben, you got anything?
I just have Gamers Against Aging.
Okay. It seems like we have a winner. I didn't have any. So Gamers Against Aging gets it.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, it is.
Now I got to go make more fake badges for organizations.
Yeah, we did have the Wizards with Guns Without Guns. Yeah. It is decided.